name is Alexa. I'm the head of online community here at Housecall Pro and your host for the Coronavirus Evening Update for home service businesses. I'm joined by my co-host, Roland. He's the co-founder of Housecall Pro, and Mel, who's our awesome Senior Vice President of People. You can think of them as your in-house business and HR strategy experts and sounding boards. Each evening at 5 p.m. Pacific time, Monday through Friday, we share the state of the world according to the home service industry, and we focus on one main topic or guest. Well, actually tonight we have two guests. If you are wondering where to watch the past episodes, just go ahead and type in Housecall Pro into YouTube, and there's an entire playlist of all of our past evening broadcasts from the past 4 weeks. We're concluding our fourth week here, which is just absolutely crazy to me. And we've just now hit over 2,500 members in our coronavirus discussion Facebook group. So if you're not in there, Camille's going to drop the link. Make sure you're joined and make sure you're catching up. Spend at least like 5 minutes in there every day. You'll learn something new. You'll see someone who's going through the same thing as you, and you have the opportunity to share and get support. There's a ton of valuable information in here too. So with that being said, I'm going to pass it to Mel for your evening update, and then I'll be back to introduce our guests for the day.
Thanks so much, and good evening to everyone. Thanks for joining us on this Friday. It's a wet and rainy Friday here in San Diego. I'm Elena Ledoux, Senior Vice President of People at Housecall Pro, and please feel free to call me Mel. So we do come to you live at 5 p.m. Pacific from our homes. I'm coming to you from my dining room table, and we give you a daily recap of what's going on in the world, bring you hopefully really valuable information, guests, advice, and most importantly, just a community to help all of us during these truly unprecedented times. So I am not a reporter or a doctor or an infectious disease expert. I'm watching a lot of news from those folks these days, though. What I am is a human resources professional by trade with over 20 years of experience. So on the personal side, I'm a proud Marine Corps wife, I'm a homeowner, and a mom of 4 pretty terrific and goofy kids. Hi to Amelia, Max, London, and Berlin. Tonight, I'd like to send some really good wishes to those of you observing Good Friday or Passover, and also send my family's love to yours with hopes that we all get to experience a peaceful Easter Sunday this weekend. I know that my family traditions will certainly be impacted this year. So today, instead of our normal Good Friday service, I'm asking each of my kids to take a moment, step away from their devices, and just be grateful for all that they do have. And I hope that you'll join me in pausing to celebrate just what's good in the world, because there truly is still so much to celebrate. So with that being said, here's your update for Friday, April 10th, 2020. As of a little bit before 3 p.m. Pacific today, the Johns Hopkins dashboard was reporting globally that cases have reached almost 1.7 million. And sadly, we saw that deaths surpassed 100,000 today. There we go. Thanks, Roland. So here in the US, we're nearing 500,000 cases and have recorded over 18,000 deaths. You can see the numbers there. Almost 6,000 of those deaths have been in New York City alone. Recoveries, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, we also continue to see recoveries increase. So that's the number in green there on the right. So we're nearing 29,000 recoveries. Certainly each one of those is one to celebrate. We'll continue to provide you with this updated information every day, but Roland, you want to tell a little bit about that dashboard?
Yeah, so obviously the dashboard, because it's updated so quickly, it's always changing, but one interesting thing just of note is that obviously there's been increasing people saying that not all countries are reporting things equally, but this is the most up-to-date based on what we know so far, and obviously is very accurate in the United States. So this is a great gauge just for looking inside our country. Great,
yeah, good point. So a couple of points of newsworthiness today. So supply shortages continue, as I'm sure you're all aware, all of that, personal protective equipment and equipment that we need in our medical centers. So US states are identifying some pretty creative solutions to getting the supplies and equipment that they need, as many states have struggled to get what they're looking for from the strategic national stockpile. So some states are reportedly forming regional coalitions, partnering with neighboring states, smaller states getting together to share resources and create greater purchasing power. So we're also seeing that local companies, universities, even correctional institutions are producing equipment to support the state needs and to help support the state's response. But largely what we're seeing is a lot of news is talking about what comes next. Where do we go from here? So today, an article published by Vox looked at several forecasts from different groups as to what the process of relaxing social distancing or kind of trying to return back to normal might look like and how that might get implemented. So they looked at the proposals and they identified what each of them had in common. So all of them included a continued period of intense social distancing to flatten the curve, as we've been hearing. So looking at slowly relaxing these measures and resuming some activities. So regardless of the plan that they looked at, the result is likely to be anything but an immediate return to normal, which I think most of us are realizing as we've all been at home here in Southern California for going on probably 4 weeks for most of us. So today at the White House briefing, President Trump, in fact, said he plans to appoint a council to do just that, to advise him on this issue, how best to reopen America after much of the nation went dark to help mitigate the spread of the coronavirus. So he plans to announce on Tuesday who he's named to lead this effort. So we'll bring you that next week. Also, with everything that's been going on, there's been updated measurements and predictions on fatalities. And the president was lamenting that those predictions are showing about 60,000 deaths from the pandemic, but that this was definitely preferable to the higher projections that we all heard a week or two ago, which ranged from 100,000 deaths on upward. So Trump said today, quote, "In the midst of grief and pain, we're seeing signs our aggressive strategy is saving countless lives." The president and public health authorities continue to urge all of us that can to stay home where possible, to keep away from large groups, even on this Easter Sunday, and to take all available precautions to slow the spread of the virus. So overall, our efforts are indeed having a positive impact, and that is some good news on this Good Friday. Alexa?
Yep.
That's some good news on this Good Friday. We have to leave it positive. So with that being said, thank you, Mel, for our state of the world. I'm sure we'll have plenty to report on Monday. Everything changes so quick.
Definitely.
Over the weekend. So I'm going to bring on our special guest. We have Brandon, who I think you all probably have started to recognize right now, and Elena. So I'm going to have them start their videos. Awesome. So today we're going to be sitting down for a conversation with Elena, Roland, and Brandon, and we're just going to share some strategies around staying successful and profitable during COVID-19. So you guys probably noticed that my title for this evening update was an SBA loan, or SBA's 2019 Small Business Person of the Year. She teaches you how to get on your local news. So we'll have a little bit of that. I actually wanted, after Brandon and Elena, you introduce yourself, I wanted to play the video that you sent me, Brandon, of your most recent news appearance. So I'll pass it over to you guys for a little and then put on that video.
Go ahead, Brandon.
Yeah, well, the main thing that I wanted to do is I wanted to bring Elena on because she's someone who I follow her a lot. We work together as Conquer coaches together. And one of the things about Elena is she's built a maid service business from literally $0 to millions in revenue in 2 years, which is not normal, by the way. That's not like a normal thing. And amidst this whole thing, she still has her business with, dozens and dozens of employees, I think, 40 plus employees. And despite the pandemic affecting her business, she's actually done a fantastic job of really pivoting and adjusting the marketing message. And so I thought it'd be really awesome to kind of bring her on, because when I saw your report and your graph that you have from Housecall Pro, where it shows the data, maid service is one that's really kind of taken a nosedive right now. And it's heartbreaking. And I know Elena personally, we've had conversations where she's been almost in tears just from seeing her colleagues and fellow business owners in the maid service community, in the maid service industry, because they're hurting so badly. And so I thought, what better way to kind of serve those in the industry than bringing on someone who's done a phenomenal job in pivoting and still kind of thriving during this time period to kind of share some tips and strategies.
Yeah, that's awesome. And the kind of what we call the trades health index here, I've got it shared on the screen. So this is what Brandon's talking about that I kind of showed him. So this is now out here in the public for you guys to take a look at for any trade here. But obviously with Elena here, we're going to be focusing a lot on home. But what you can see here is two lines, a blue line and a red line. The red line is year 2020. The blue line is 2019. And so you can see here, this is average scheduled jobs per week. So this is the leading indicator. And then the trailing indicator is this one, which is the completed jobs per week. You can see, it looks like about a 60% drop between 2019 and 2020. That's pretty big. So obviously she's doing something right. And so obviously Brandon always brings on great guests. And so we're gonna really dive into what are some things you guys should be thinking about doing to just become more resilient and think outside the box, which is the pivoting that Brandon mentioned, which is what else can you do besides what you were previously doing that you should be thinking about. So I'm gonna dive in here.
Well, thanks so much for having me. You know that ancient Chinese curse that may you live in the times of change? I certainly feel like we are living that. And specifically my industry has been badly affected, and just it's a bloodbath because we go inside people's homes and, we clean, and there's some degree of human contact. So when this whole pandemic started hitting the country, and especially our city, there's a lot of, every media outlet, every social media point was broadcasting this message of stay home, you're gonna die, stay home, you're gonna die, everybody should stay home or else you're gonna die, and kill everybody, right? It's a nonstop kind of emotional, and I understand that a lot of it is based on science, is based on the facts, and so we cannot discard it. But at the same time, a lot of people in my industry specifically were making decisions based out of emotion, just being exhausted of having to make those difficult decisions, and it was just easier to shut down. And a lot of people shut down their companies, some permanently, some temporarily. Everyone took a beating. So I am the kind of person, in Conquer, one of the things we like to do is to take personality test and the DISC test, and I'm very high in C. So I'm very much clinging to my facts, and Brandon's laughing because it's so true, right? I'm always clinging to the facts, and I like making rational decisions. Even amidst the end of the world, I still would like to make the best, because I feel like I owe it to my people. I owe it to my customers. I owe it to my employees and to my family and their families to make the most rational, the best decision despite the pressure.
Elena, could you share with just the listeners, since just kind of your quick backstory of you coming to the U.S. and just your story and journey, touch on a little bit your experience becoming an attorney and some of the other things that you've kind of brought you to this point, because it's a pretty epic story.
Yeah, I have a crazy life story. So I was born in Soviet Union, and over 40 years ago, and then when I was just graduating from college, it basically went to hell in a basket. Like the whole country just fell apart, right? It was a global, I don't know. It is just like this. It's very much like today, right? We're seeing it's crazy. The world is changing. We don't know what's going to happen. Mass hysteria, people buying flour and sugar in the stores, not so much toilet paper, but all the basic necessities. And there's a lot of, yes, exactly, all the staples, except it's a Russian version, right? Soviet version. And there's a lot of crime and lawlessness. So it was just basically the end of the world, as my first introduction to the end of the world scenario. So then I immigrated to the United States, and I went to law school, and graduated and practiced law for 11 years, lived in Hawaii. And
I think it's important to know about Elena is that she went to law school. She barely spoke any English.
Yeah.
And they tried to kick her out.
Yeah, I was also pregnant. So I was 9 months pregnant, barely speaking English. I knew how to read and write, which is how I got in, because it's a written test, right? But after they saw me, they looked at me and they're like, you may want to reconsider, because who are you, right? So how dare you? So that was the message. And then my classmates actually stepped in, and they're like, no, we got your back. And that was my first introduction to both bureaucracy as well as the community, right? So it was a very, very much like I understood right away what is a good thing, what is not a good thing. So the community embraced me. They helped me with the notes, just moral, understanding that morally they're on my side and they kind of have my back was very powerful. So I was able to graduate at the top 10 or 15% of my class, despite my, improper English. And my mom came out and watched my kids. So that's how I was able to do it both ways, So I practiced law, absolutely loved it. Law is such an equalizer. You can be a foreigner, you can be a girl, you can be a minority, but kick everybody's ass.
That's awesome. That's so great.
Yeah, so I had a lot of fun. I retired before I was 40, and I lived in Europe for a couple of years. And then the crisis struck here in US. And I'm very cheap. So I told my husband, fly back to US and buy everything you see in Las Vegas, Detroit, and Florida. And he's like, I don't want to do this. And I said, no, you have to do it. Don't come back until you buy something. So he went out and he bought a bunch of properties in Las Vegas. Those investment properties. And of course, they all double or triple in price since, right? So we bought them at almost nothing. And so when we got tired of Europe, we decided to come back. I had 2 kids by then. We decided to come back and settle here in Vegas. And then my best childhood friend from back in Uzbekistan, where I'm from, former Soviet Union, she immigrated to the United States, and she said, help me find a job. And I said, well, that's a little bit challenging because you don't speak English, you don't drive a car, you're an architect who speaks Russian, there's not a lot of, utility to your skills. So we decided to start a cleaning company, and it kind of, because it doesn't require capital investment, I think we spent all of $1,000 total and used my own home cleaning supplies in the vacuum cleaner, and it just exploded. We were voted best of Las Vegas first year in business, and we had, by the second year, we bought our own building, and then fourth year in business, we were voted. We got an award for SBA Small Business of the Year for the state of Nevada. We flew to DC, accepted the award. So it's been a wild ride for sure. And then, I met Brandon through Josh Latimer, and I got embroiled in Conquer, and I absolutely love it. It's my favorite thing now. I love that more than even doing business. So, so yeah, I absolutely adore it. I love business, and helping other people, succeed in business has been extremely rewarding for me. So that's my story.
Yeah.
Be crazy.
That's a great story. I'm over here all inspired. I'm gonna go start.
I'm like, what are we doing over here? I mean, I feel like we gotta.
Yeah. So before I pass it off to you guys, I did actually want to play at least, the video is about 2 minutes 18, so I wanted to play it right before Elena came in. So maybe, Elena, before I start the video, I'm going to share my screen. You can give a background on what this news story was about.
Yeah, let me see which one it is. I'm not sure. No, I seriously don't know.
It's the home for the nurses.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I love that one. Yes, that was such an accident.
Okay.
While COVID-19 is most commonly spread by someone coughing, the virus can also live on surfaces. That's why some healthcare workers don't want to go home to their families and put them at risk.
We have 5 rooms and we can host 6 people.
This house belongs to Elena Burns. The sign on the front door says it all. The empty rental is now a safe space for healthcare workers.
So we stock the house with all supplies needed, coffee, tea, creamer, sugar, water, paper towels, pressures, toilet paper.
And little notes around the house read, "Thanks for all you're doing."
We're not charging anything.
And Elena says, "Stay as long as you want."
Whatever is needed. If they just need a couple of days to stay here and meet their family friends in a park, that will work.
This is her way of showing her appreciation.
There's a lot of doctors and nurses right now that have no place to stay because a lot of things are closed in Vegas.
So far, there's just one guest, Melissa. She's an ER nurse at a Valley hospital.
And I've been blessed to be fortunate to get a room here to be able to get housing so we don't have to sleep in our cars or the hallways or anywhere.
Previous 3 nights she was sleeping in her car in a parking lot, and it was heartbroken for me to hear.
And a Valley cleaning company is also helping out, making sure that every room and every surface in here stays sanitized. Suberp Maids, a Valley cleaning service, heard about what Elena is doing. While they say this is the busiest they've ever been, they're adding this house to their list for free.
So all the high touch points will be cleaned on top of just the regular cleaning. We're also going to fog it.
It's the service that we offer now with the hospital-grade disinfectants.
I open a business, which is closed now, but this is my time to give to my country. And I'm very proud I can do it.
Elena says she'll keep the doors open as long as healthcare workers are battling the pandemic. She hopes other landlords will join her.
You don't need much. All what you need to do is just a good heart and desire to help.
Tiana Bonner, Fox 5 News, local Las Vegas.
So awesome.
When Brandon
That's cool.
sent it over, I was like, this is so freaking cool. Like, at first I was confused because her name is Elena. And
Yes. I know. It's a very common name. Elena Alona is actually the same thing in Russian. It's pretty hilarious. But yeah, if that particular thing was not engineered at all, it's just a random thing. Part of our DNA of our company is helping the community always, and we kind of do it low-key under the radar, but sometimes it pops in the news. And this was one of those cases. Somebody tagged me in the Facebook post in the Russian community of Las Vegas, and they said, we have this woman who is giving away her home for the first responders. And I have a lot of healthcare workers who are my friends, so I feel like it's really close to my heart. So they said, would you like to help somehow? And I said, yeah, of course we'll help. So I committed to that without even knowing all the details. And then the next day, the woman texts me and says, can you come out because there's a news and they're going to ask me all these questions about how we're going to clean it. And I have no idea. So come out, please. And I said, okay, no problem. So I show up and then they make this piece. And I think it's been a week, I think, a little bit less than a week. And it's been watched 270,000 times, I think.
Wow.
I think it's more than that right now too.
Yeah, it's been insane. So it's
One of the things that I think has been so cool to kind of witness is Elena spent so much time pivoting not only to serve her community, but also to serve her employees too. So she's kind of been at the forefront. She participates with ISSA. She's been ARCSI. She's really involved in the maid service and cleaning community. But one of the things that she's even done, which I'll let her kind of talk about, is offering delivery services for her clients and being able to pivot in kind of like an immediate need that's actually been received, fairly well on that side, as well as offering other, secondary services.
yeah, I think
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, I'm going to post the video for you guys because I see a lot of comments in here. Like, love that video. Amazing video. Michelle says, I'm okay. I must have something in my eye because she's crying. But I'm going to post that video here, and I'm actually going to pass it off to the three of you to talk about your strategy. And I'll be back in a little bit and go through any Q&As with you. Any questions that you have for Elena or Brandon or Roland or Mel, go ahead and throw them in the Q&A box there. If you're on Facebook, throw them in the thread there. But here's the video, and I'll be back soon.
Thank you. Well, actually, when the video was shot, like, she was crying and I was crying. Like, it was like a whole mess. And that's why when you watch it, you want to cry because we both cried. And the reporter was crying too. So it's very interesting experience.
Yeah. But it's authentic. So I think that's what obviously helped it get, the views and things, because people connect with it. And when people connect with something, they share it and they let all their friends know about it, which is obviously an unintended side effect, of what you're trying to do, which is just, good in the community. And you're staying really connected on a hyper local level. And oftentimes people don't either understand or really put enough value on doing things like this, because this is what gets noticed. And in times like these, the compounding effect coming out the end is going to be so far greater because everyone's going to remember this. Whereas, the people that just shut down their shop because of the emotional decisions never even had an opportunity to do things like this.
I want to add on something that, Roland, because I think you brought up a really, really good gold nugget there that I want to make sure everyone catches. There seems to be a lot of people who may downplay PR and downplay, they're just doing that to get, marketing exposure and getting PR exposure. And they view segments in marketing and getting these positive stories out to the masses as just some kind of a ploy just to get business, and how it's actually kind of an evil thing, which really bothers me. Because the reality is that when you have these really positive news pieces that are going out there, Yes, there may be a side effect to where more people are aware of your business and it can positively impact your business. But the greater effect that ends up happening is the inspiration component, to where it inspires other business owners to step up to the plate. It actually gives people a little bit of relief from all the negative news that's happening. So, these pieces, whether you want to view them as lightweight and heartwarming, and I've seen some people tear down some free acts that they've done for their community. I've seen exterior cleaning businesses offer free playground sanitizing and disinfecting, and people just like coming in and tearing it down and saying, wow, that's such a waste of, such a waste. It doesn't make any effectiveness. It's dangerous. But the reality is that, when you get these media stories out there, it can create a really positive impact in your local community. And so I think that it's not something to just be overlooked and brushed aside so quickly as a selfish motive for getting news articles like this.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
go ahead.
So Elena, how do you, obviously there's these great moments that happen organically because you're just doing good. And then obviously there are the moments when you're like, okay, how can I do this to benefit my community? How can I get on TV? These different things. How do you plan those? How do you think about them? What's your strategy around that? So if there's all the pros that are watching here, they're like, oh, I would like to have those opportunities. How do you position yourself so these things just happen?
So there's two prong. We do it the amateur way and we do it professional way. So the amateur way is to write a small pitch, because right now cleaning is the hot topic. It's newsworthy. Everybody wants to know how to use bleach. Everybody wants to know how to disinfect their home or around their home, right? And who are the experts? It's us. It's our industry. So I feel like now is definitely the times when we are newsworthy, and so we can definitely I kind of leverage that to our advantage. So I would recommend writing a small, very short press release, and it's literally less than a paragraph long, and you introduce yourself and which company you're from, and then quickly establish your authority. What's so great about your company? Did you win the awards? Are you #1 company in your town? Whatever, just how many homes did you clean? It's usually like thousands of homes, right? So you can say that. And then next sentence literally is addressing whatever topic that you're trying to pitch, whether it's proper sanitation or proper protective equipment or how to use chemicals, whatever is your area of expertise. And then the last is you provide, because all the journalists, they like accessibility, because a lot of times they work under a lot of pressure. So you provide your cell phone number or some sort of quick way to get in touch with you, right? So if you like to, I'm available to talk to you. And so literally that little template, and you just reach out to a lot of these news outlets that you have in your town, the newspapers. It works on national level too. We just yesterday were published in Reader's Digest, so it's a national publication. And then the last week it was in Martha Stewart Living and Yahoo News, right? So that approach works locally and nationally. And then the professional way to do it is to hire a great PR agent. And PR agents are always so nebulous. They're creative folks, right? So they always say pay me money and then we'll see what happens. So you really need to vet your agents and really get some good solid referrals from somebody who used them and are very happy with them. And then there should be some chemistry. So they should be invested in your success, cheering for you, love your cause, love what you stand for. And then they'll anytime, they're having breakfast in the morning, the thought will pop in their mind how they can promote you. And that's exactly what happened here with this particular PR agent. Her name is Ruth. We've been kind of developing a relationship and friendship a couple of years now. So it didn't just suddenly happen, and she started supporting my company well before we became professionally related. And so she comes from journalistic background. So she's been all over the media, in the media. She was a journalist for many years. So she has all these connections. So it's very easy for her to pitch us. And she knows exactly how to do it. She knows exactly what you need to say, how you need to look, when you still go into it. And for journalists, it's like a shortcut. They know they don't have to worry about it. You already pre-vetted, right? So it's a very high success rate for her to pitch it as opposed to for me to pitch it. Mm-hmm. And it kind of has a snowball effect, because once you're on TV, then other people see you, and then they, other journalists will reach out to you. It's kind of cascades there. So those are the two main ways to do it.
Yeah, and so one thing that I found that's worked for us too is, when you're sending out these small little pitches, when you're including your phone number, let them know your availability is at any time. So
Yeah.
available anytime, call my cell direct, we'll answer, because you're right, they're often under really big timelines and time crunches. And even if it's not the best story, for them, it's better to have something rather than nothing. And if they feel like they can get back to you. So what this means is, and a lot of people just think this is a one-hit thing. This is not a one-hit thing. You want to start developing a relationship with that reporter or with that journalist. And so that response, so if they send you an email, send it back as soon as you can, because they're going to keep going back and forth. You want to reinforce that behavior. And that's some things that we did when we were out there doing similar pitches for getting on TV and any kind of PR for that matter. But make sure you do that, because if you don't, you're probably not going to be able to make that work. And there's another service out there too, that if you're really curious and you want to go more gung-ho, it's called Help a Reporter Out. So it's called HARO. And so oftentimes that's where journalists go. They say, hey, I'm writing a story on this and I'm looking for a quote from this. And it's just a feed, and you get a feed of all the questions. And as you get those questions, you can go and you can reply. You're not going to win a lot of them, because a lot of people are subscribing to these feeds. But you can, if you get good at it and you get some social proof, you can even start to include that in some of your pitches back out to them. Like, hey, I've already been featured by Wired, by TechCrunch, by et cetera, et cetera. And then they're like, oh, they're a credible source. Let's just go with that one. That's some really good feedback though.
Yeah, that's great advice.
Yeah, we use that too successfully. It takes some diligence and hard work, as with anything else, right? You have to consistently reply to these and kind of hone your craft, but it definitely works. Just
One
like
thing I'd like to add to that is we got featured in a lot of different news articles. We were on the front page of the Oregonian with our business and our story that we had. We were in the Portland Business Journal, had an awesome write-up in that. Every single story that we've ever been featured in was just a cold email to the reporter's email on the website. It wasn't like a whole lot of difficult work to do it. I just, basically called up and said, hey, I think, this is something that your readers would really appreciate knowing, and just kind of pitch that little story. It's not as difficult as you think it might be. It just takes you actually just going and reaching out. And you mentioned Harold. The other one I like is a Quoted with a W, QWOTED. That's another really good service to kind of get those, get some good PR exposure. But unless you ask, it's going to be a rare day that they just come and just knock on your door and say, hey, you got any good stories over there? You gotta be proactive.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about your pivot, Elena, because I think that's a really big thing on people's minds right now. Obviously, we see that 60% drop for most of our customers using our software. And we know that people using software are ahead of the pack even then. So I can only imagine what the other ones are going through. So talk to us about what are some extra services that you either added or new things that you're offering to your current client base that you weren't before, that you are now, that's making an impact right now?
So one thing that we offered right away is high touch point sanitation. And that basically is around the house and providing, basically sanitizing every single surface that people are likely to touch, like for example, the drawers or remotes, or stuff like that, counters, which we did to some extent anyways, but just kind of highlighting it, organizing it into a program, into formats, and pitching that. And we actually offered it to all of our existing customers for free. Just kind of put their mind at ease. I think one of the things I realized almost right away is that a lot of it is informational war, right? So it's like, you are bad, stay away, you're killing people, all this kind of negativity out there against all of the industry section, not just ours, but even ours as well. Even when the government came out and said, you are essential, even when my own healthcare friends said, you are essential, please do not stop operations, there's still a lot of a hysteria out there. And I figured we need to rise up and actually have our own voice too, about what is it that we are doing that's helpful, that kind of display how you are essential, and kind of fight back. Don't just sit there and take the beating, right? So immediately, we started rolling this out and actually broadcasting on our own social media and into newsletters to our customers, and then on newspapers and TV as well. That's the first thing that happened. And then the next thing that we offered, it was basically using the disinfection and fogging, right? Sanitation through fogging of the chemicals. So, and we don't do something that has an active COVID-19 contamination or anything like that. It's more like prophylactic. We still wear protection. We employ all the best practices. We're using the proper chemicals, but we don't go in when you have, somebody died or somebody got sick, right? So we're just doing the fogging as preventative as a good practice. That's another thing that we did, and that resonated as well. And then lastly is when we also had some drop in revenue. Obviously, people are scared, they're nervous. Some people rescheduled. And as they were rescheduling, a lot of them were crying and saying, I'm scared, I'm stuck at home. My kids are, immunocompromised, so I have elderly parents. So I can't have anybody, I can't have you guys in my house, but also I can't even go outside and buy food. I don't know what I'm going to do. Right. So we'll say, okay, I'm so sorry to hear that. We'll hang up. And then that just lingers on my mind. Like, what is it like to be in that position? I can relate to that because my parents are elderly and they are super irresponsible. So they're like lifelong smokers and have all kinds of conditions, right? So I'm really scared for them too. So I was thinking like, what is the safest way to get food to those people? So I started like checking out Instacart and all these other delivery services in Costco and all this. And a lot of that was not available or severely backlogged, or it could be like 1 week. And then I went online, started reading everybody's kind of experiences with the grocery delivery services. And I've seen that, first of all, they're not safe, right? And they're also crushed under this weight of demand. And so they can't cope. And so I'm thinking like, and I couldn't get it out of my mind, like what it's like to be that customer. And those customers, we clean their homes for years. So we care for them. It's not just like a random customer. It's our family. So, and then I figured, okay, so what we're going to do is we have employees who are young and healthy and fully gloved, and they love disinfecting everything they see anyway. So why don't we just send them grocery shopping, right? It gives them hours of work that they need right now so badly. And then it gives our customers something that, we'll just put them two together. And so we've done that. We rolled it out, and that was so well received. And we actually told our customers, if you can't afford it because you lost a job, or you just can't afford it, we'll just waive our fees. We'll just do it for free, and we'll absorb the cost of the delivery, right? We'll just deliver for free. And so that was very much embraced by both our customers and our community, and they got us on the news again. So it's like, it was a win-win all around.
So I hope you guys are picking up too, just because Elena's in the home cleaning industry, like this is applicable for every industry, especially that delivery portion of it. You guys are out on routes, and we've been telling and trying to teach over the last few weeks of how to create these creative campaigns, whether you're doing a postcard, you're sending a text, you're doing an email, or even calling up your customer and saying, hey, I'm going to be in the neighborhood tomorrow, pick you up, anything. And I think Elena and her business is proof that that stuff actually works, and going out of your way to do some goodwill has a lot of benefits to it. So even if you're not home cleaning, I hope you guys are still taking notes on this.
Yeah, absolutely. That's true. I think everyone needs to look at, what can they do to pivot? How can they continue to serve their customers? Because even if it's not your normal everyday service that you're offering, if you approach it with the mindset of how can I serve, then that's the best way to come out on top and to be able to win.
We had when we had the October 1st shooting here a couple of years ago, it was very devastating to our community. I mean, it never happened in Las Vegas, and it was horrible. So I remember feeling so powerless and just so sad. But then we realized that there's something we can do. So we actually, our company was cleaning first responders' homes and victims' families' homes for I want to say like a couple of months actually, because I know like everybody were working around the clock, all the doctors and nurses, and it was just a complete pandemonium. And so our company paid the wages for the employees, but there was no charge to any of the customers like that. So and that gave us a lot of kind of consolation, and the fact that we were able to do it through our business was very rewarding to me personally, and it was great for community. So applying that experience over to like this tragedy and catastrophe that we're experiencing now, I felt like we can do exact same thing. So we actually reached out to community and said like, okay, what do you guys need right now? Foster families, what do you need, right? There's a great organization called St. Jude's Ranch for Children. They take the house children who were taken away from abusive families. And I've been there because we've been supporting them in the past. They're an amazing organization. And so I asked them, like, what do you guys need? And they said, we need diapers, we need toys, we need this, we need that, we need supplies, we need like everything. So then I went to our customers. We have 5,000 customers in our database. And I said, hey, can you guys give me some diapers or money so I can buy diapers, right? And a lot of them said yes. They gave us diapers, toys, money. So then we went out and bought them, and we used our community partners, like nonprofits that we normally support. And we said, and also my friends who had to shut down their companies and they have nothing to do right now except for being super sad at home. I said, why don't you guys help me with this? I need your help. And everything just magically clicked. People donated stuff. We picked them up, we delivered them, and it was just amazing.
That's cool.
That was not on the news. It was just like, it was one of those things that we just did.
So, I just learning about all these really great, genuine connections that you've been making. What is your advice to viewers watching if they don't know the first place to start when like trying to make these strategic partnerships and do good in the community? How do you just like call them? Do you Google them? Are they through a network? How do you do that?
You just, okay, so you can just go to, there's a COVID-19 communities online on Facebook, pretty much in every city. I know for sure in Vegas, I know for sure in San Diego, and I know for sure in Portland. People congregate there and they all share their fears, their needs. They're asking like, where's food, right? So if you see people asking, discussing, where's food, I don't have food, or I don't have masks, use your entrepreneurial superpowers to figure out how to get those resources to them, right? That's truly our superpower. If somebody was an employee their whole life, like I used to be, if something's taken away from me, I just gonna sit there and cry, right? So, but as a business owner, I'll just figure out how to get it. So we can do that. We can be resourceful. I know somebody who has fabrics. I know somebody who can buy me like sewing machine. I don't know how to sew, but maybe I'll find somebody who knows how to sew. I'll pull them all together, just like what we do for business, and we'll make masks, right? So just look at the need, just like with me talking to the customers and they're saying that they're stuck at home. There's no way for them to get the food. I'm like, how can we get food to those people? Oh, I know people who drive and who can go get food, right? So it's just like simple, just like this.
That's awesome. And those relationships, they're gonna stand the test of time. You're in this during a crisis together. Can you imagine what great stuff you can do after this together by establishing that relationship? Now, I think that is so cool and awesome. Do you guys have any more questions or anything else you want to touch on before we get into some Q&As?
I think that the thing that I'd like to really stress to anyone who's watching this is, right now it feels like the end is just starting to peek through. I don't know if you guys can feel that or not,
yes,
but you can start to kind of see the hope and the opportunity, which is even a big marked difference than even just like a week or two ago. And so it's not going to be very long before things are going to start gearing back up again. And I think that the people who are really going to come out of this stronger than ever are the ones who are like the Elena, the ones that run towards the problems, try to pivot, try to figure out how they can continue to serve their customers, how they can continue to serve their communities. I think really that will be the key differentiator. The people who are working hard right now. I think it can be tempting as business owners when we're kind of unsure what to do next to pause and just kind of wait and see. But that can really be a death sentence in situations like this. It can be a way to just completely end the business. So you have to look forward and you have to say, this is going to improve. This will change. It's not a permanent reality anymore. So what can we do to gear up for that? And I think that all of the things that Elena shared are some serious, strong ninja moves to make in your service business.
I actually gave it a lot of thought in terms of making the decisions, because normally I have no problem making decisions, but this time it was super hard and I couldn't understand why. And then I realized normally we make decisions based on facts. And right now we don't know the facts. We don't know enough about coronavirus. We don't know about legal landscape either, right? As a lawyer, I have a hard time figuring out what the hell they're trying to say, right, in the law. So, and we don't know humanitarian side of it. Those are the three things that I need to consider. And the third humanitarian side is like, if I lay off all of my employees, are they going to be able to get support? Yes or no? Like, well, for a while, seems like it's a no. Theoretically, yes. In reality, no. So, but it wasn't clear. And that's why it was so hard to make those decisions. And I actually created a little system for myself, like how to go through that decision-making process. So I can tune out the fears a little bit and base the decisions on the reason and on the facts as best as I can understand them. And actually, Brandon made me put it in the course. So for me, the industry, so I did that. So it's free, right? So if you guys want it, just let me know, let us know, let Brandon know. So he made it all pretty, but basically I try to systemize everything. I'm like Spock. So I did that. So because it's super painful for me to make decisions based on the soup of hysteria. So I like the facts, and now I can see more and more facts. And in fact, when that crisis that's happening right now is going to be gone before you know it. It's just as suddenly as it appeared. It's not going to be pretty for a while, but it's going to be gone someday. And I want to be able to look back and be proud of how I acted or not acted, right? It's like a very unique opportunity, which probably is not going to happen again in my lifetime. So I want to be sure that I'm proud I didn't do something stupid. I didn't do something irresponsible. I didn't act low. I didn't act scared, right? Because I have to live with myself for the rest of my life. I'm only 42, right? I have another like 60 years to go. So I want to be proud of myself looking back.
I think what you did was really good, just around putting a framework in place, because when you have a framework for things, then you can feel like you're going through the same kind of processes as you're going through each of the decisions that you make. And then what you said is completely true. You can start removing some of the emotional side of it. You say, hey, look, as long as I follow these decision-making processes and I think that this is the right thing to do, then as you do that, you're also able to learn a lot quicker from them too. And maybe you need to change the process of the framework, but we're going to see if we can make that available too to everyone that's watching here tonight. Because I think that those are just helpful, whether it's your framework or anyone makes their own framework. Just putting something like that in place to help you make decisions is really important. I know Mel loves all kinds of frameworks. She teaches those. She teaches those in all of her cohorts when we do our leadership training too. So
let's be honest, we're all systems nerds here. Let's be real.
Well, and one of the frameworks that I like is really just identifying your personal values and what's important to you as an individual. And I use those rank ordered to go through decision making. And every time I have screwed up a decision, it's because I put something less important over the most important. So my values are happiness, authenticity, initiative, and success. And every time I screw it up is when I put success above my happiness or above my authenticity. And I try to be something I'm not, just to be successful, right? So like even just coming and doing these every night, like, you know, it's almost 6 o'clock on a Friday night and I've got my whole house on the quiet lockdown. So I can be on this, it makes me happy and I get to come and be myself and try to serve others, which really gives me joy. So, you know, just makes, if you have a framework, it just makes decision-making so much easier, because more and more tough decisions are coming for all of us in these coming weeks.
Yeah,
I mean,
true.
we are not through the tough decision-making, that's for sure.
Did you just put everyone out in the backyard during these? Is that your secret?
I lock them in. They're teens, they're fine. They're 6, 7 days grade. You just like make sure they have a charger and then you just lock them in.
Oh my gosh, so funny. And as someone who is currently learning Mel's framework with value-based leadership, it's something that you can be teaching to your employees too. It's really valuable for everyone around when you're all invested in the same mission. It really does make a huge difference in everyone's buy-in into your company and into your mission. So maybe Mel, we can post a resource on that. I'm really excited to start management training again. That's something we do at Housecall. I think it's important for everyone. We do have a few questions for you, Elena, if we can get to those, and then we'll talk about some of the virtual meetups happening next week, and we'll let you guys get on with your weekend so you don't have to hang out with us anymore. So let's see here. Oh, I already have it. So, hi, Elena, this is from Michelle. Will you consider yourself a high-end cleaning company? Are you doing any deals for your customers who you don't feel are in desperate need? That's a good question.
We do consider ourselves high-end. I always say that our clients have to be nice and have money, right? And so if they're one or another, they're not our customers. They have to have both. In terms of deals, people who cannot afford us but absolutely need it, and let's say they're a cancer patient or they just lost a family member, we just do it for free. But we're able to do that because we have all these other nice and rich customers to pay for stuff like that.
Nice and rich, I think, is a pretty good combination.
Yes.
Hopefully they're generous and kind. And
I want some friends that are like that, nice and rich.
Yeah, because every one of my employees can fire any client for any reason. They don't need to ask for authorization. So if customer is a jerk, I don't care how much money they have. I don't care if they own a casino. Any one of my cleaners, even a new one, can fire them on the spot. And they don't have to say it. They have to put their hand up like this and walk away, and then text me, and then I'll call them and fire them.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that.
That's why we don't have
really
any
cool.
nasty customers. They're all pretty awesome.
What another great system to implement. Again, something else that isn't just for home cleaning industry. This is for all industries.
We'll do the same. I mean, if someone is excessively rude to one of the folks in our blue chat bubble, or just is being a problem to our employees, there's not a single customer that's worth someone mistreating my employees. So Roland's had to make a few calls over his time since co-founding Housecall to fire a few customers. It's just their dollar's not worth it. It just isn't.
Yep.
I like the hand.
Yes. Because it's a lot of pressure to fire somebody. So I just say, just put your hand up like this, say excuse me, and just go outside.
Love it.
It's what happened. Well, I guess it's a follow-up question. How do you deal with those customers? If they go and leave you a bad review?
I just deal with that. I mean, I'm super nice unless they're racist or sexist or something. I just say I'm so sorry. We depend on our people. If our people feel uncomfortable working with you, unfortunately I can't. We had somebody, some guy who offered $100 bill for one of our employees to clean the top off. so she's it's the nicest customer, and she's elderly and disabled, so she felt so bad. And she said, please don't fire the customer, okay? Just send him someone else. I'm like, who? She said, well, one of the guys. I said, I don't know, so please send in the guys. I had to, call and be nice about it. And majority of customers, they don't take it out on us. Sometimes they do. We just take a hit. It's just worth it. It's just like Melina said, sometimes you have your principles, you have to stand up for them. I don't do it too often, thankfully, but we do sometimes.
And remember that your employees are really looking for your actions.
Yeah.
Because anyone can have their core values.
Yep.
You can paint them all over the truck, even. You can put them wherever you want. But if your actions tell a different story, what do you think they're going to think are your true colors? It's not whatever you posted on the wall, or send out in a company email or text, or put on a Facebook ad. Your employees, who really are your brand, are going to listen to your actions. And so if you back up your values with consistent actions, your employees are going to sing your praises. And if you love all of your employees, they're going to love all of your customers. Not in the weird $100 bill.
Yeah.
What's the Vegas saying again? No.
Yeah, what happens here stays here.
We actually have a lot of people in your industry on this webinar right now, and so we have a couple more industry specific questions, but again, it's about pricing and where to purchase inventory. So how are you pricing, this is from Casey Combs, how are you pricing your disinfection services right now?
So for the fogging specifically, we price it at 5 cents a square foot with $99 minimum. I know some people charge as much as 10 cents, but I feel because this is something that needs to be done all the time, especially for offices that are still operating. I feel 10 cents a square foot is not sustainable for somebody to do on a regular basis. So that's our price.
That's a good question. And then there's a million questions about foggers. I'm guessing that's what.
I have no idea what this is. I need to know.
It's a machine that like in that TV segment, the yellow thing that's, I don't know how to use it either, but I have people who do.
It cleans the tile on the floor and cleans the countertops.
Looks cool. The question on foggers is a lot of people are trying to buy them right now and not able to find them. Where do you find your foggers?
Okay, so be part of Join Conquer because just be part of the community that's strong. And so when you're part of the community, people share resources, including vendors. Information is gold always, but especially now. You need your supplies, you need your suppliers, you need the laws, you need to access to information about the funding, right? So if you're just by yourself, like a little boat into the ocean, and you just kind of swim, I mean, chances are you're not going to make it in the tsunami, right? But if you're part of the conglomerate of a fleet, and you have all the information, the best resources. You know, like that's why animals are in herds, right? Because like if one of them gets eaten on the side, everybody else kind of knows about it and they just run away or protect that person. So the foggers, even though I have nothing to do with the fogging industry or anything like that, I was able to get access to resources and the vendors based on being part of that community. Like people just recommended. And honestly, somebody just said it's on Home Depot. If you go on Home Depot and you look in your local, because it's part of the pest control industry equipment. So, and a lot of Conquerors are pest control, coming from pest control industry, and there's a cross-pollination of information from all these different various service industries. So that's basically tap into your community. And, you know, Housecall Pro is a perfect community as well. Like you have all kinds of industry within you. So just talk.
Yeah, and the first time you realize you need a community is when you find you don't have one, right? So for those who are sitting there thinking, well, where do I get this community? Where do I get the people that I can contact when I need to figure out, you know, how to get necessary supplies or how to price something? It's a good reminder that these are things that it's never too late to start. I mean, building community, you know, reach out to those competitors. You never know what might come out of it. I mean, being friends with those who you compete with is not a bad thing.
One thing I'll add is that, you know, the best time to prepare for a crisis is yesterday. The second best time to prepare for it is right now. So even though you may look on a website and see that they're X amount of time off, they're not used to, you know, your normal Prime 2-day shipping. Place the orders. Just do it today, because I mean, rather than waiting and trying to get something going, like just start today. Start doing the search and just buy wherever you can to get those through. Because even if you're on a waiting list, at least you're on a list.
I had my Conquerors who were like helping each other buy foggers. They said, I have this in Oklahoma. I'm going to go drive up to Tulsa. And, I mean, that's truly how it works. But you can't start being part of a community by taking. You have to start by giving, right? And I built all of my connections by giving, not by taking. So
that's true.
I love that. And then one last question for all of you guys here. This kind of goes back to your comment about your customers. So this is from Demise Bell. What is the best way to target high-end customers?
The best way to target high-end customer is to go back to your values. I mean, once they realize, I tell all my Conquerors is the very first thing they have to come up with is the 3 things they stand for. My company stands for honest, simple, and clean. So everything about us, from the branding, from, you know, the way we behave, the way we present ourselves, corresponds with those 3 values. And then we become known for that. And then there's some customers who are looking for that quality. They're looking for trustworthiness, right? So you need to think about in terms of what does that person need, as opposed to how can I sell it to them? It's more like, what do they need? And then build the company around that. And then once you build it, they shall come.
Yeah, I'll add on to that. The way that we always went after high-end customers, go into a Gran Turismo dealership, car dealership, or a Lamborghini dealership, and talk to a salesperson there and watch how they go through and talked about the stitched leather and all the different, you know, the burl wood panels that they have. Listen to how the high-end customers and the wealthy customers are used to purchasing and what level of customer experience and value, perceived value even, that they're used to receiving. You have to match that quality. If you're looking for the high-end customers and you have door magnets stuck to the side of your truck, and you're looking for the high-end customers and your proposal is not polished and has, you know, video examples and testimonials and proof of your insurance and all the things that really matter, proof of criminal background screens for your technicians. We would actually, as part of our process, we would email, whenever we get an estimate quote, we would email a picture of our salesperson that was going to be showing up at the house, along with proof of their criminal background screening and our description on how every single one of our technicians had a photo ID badge with proof of their criminal background screening. So if you think about offering a really high-end level of service, especially on the perceived value side, that's how you can attract and kind of continue to get those referrals, you know, with that as well. And you got to stop thinking like, you're not your own target customer. I mean, that's kind of like a big learning lesson I had to have at one point in time is, oh, no one would ever spring for that. When I had to realize that I wasn't my own target customer, I wasn't in the wealthy pool. So I had to stop thinking like, well, they wouldn't want this. I'd have to actually like talk to them and find out where they hung out and, you know, what were the things that were important to them. So getting into the head and the mindset of those high-end customers is also important.
Yeah, for me, I would say the biggest thing is just to defend your value. So if you think about steakhouses, you know, you walk in there, you know how much you're going to pay for a piece of steak, and it's, you know, and up front, you know, you're going to be paying $200 for 2 people. And you're either going to walk in that restaurant or you're not going to walk in that restaurant. So by default, you only have the people that are going to be ready to purchase at that level. So when you're open and honest and transparent about your pricing up front too, with attention to detail. Obviously, when you walk in that high-end restaurant, similar to what you said, walking to a high-end dealer, you know, the presentation, the wine, I don't care if you want to take 10 sips of 10 different wines. I know you're going to buy a $400 bottle, some whatever it is. Those things matter. But, you know, when those prices are listed there, they're intended to screen out the people that don't want it anyway. So that is something that we've always tried to do too with our product is like, hey, here's this, what you see, what you get, here's the price. No, there's no discount, you know, like those types of things, you know, you get a lot less hagglers that way, or people that will try to beat you up on the pricing. If you're just, hey, this is the menu, you can pick what you want, but maybe you shouldn't be in the restaurant. So that's another way you can do it.
Okay. People who laughed at our prices and when we announced them, and then since then we quadrupled our prices and we still have customers. Mm-hmm. So one of the industry that you can learn from is the hotel industry. Like very upscale high-end hotels, they have impeccable customer service. And I think that's really a key differentiator because anybody can scrub the toilet, but not everybody can treat you like a royalty. And so just learn, watch how they talk. It's always a yes, right? That's my favorite hotel is on Lanai, and it's called Ko'ela Lodge. From the moment you land on the island, everybody is like, knows your name, and they'll say, yes, yes, of course. Yes, of course, Miss Ledoux. And so I'm like, I love you guys, right? So learn from them. Oh, hi.
All right, we got crashed. And I prefer customer experience even to service, right? Like service is you know, can feel a little bit more like I'm obligated, but if I'm creating an experience, a customer experience, you know, how did that experience make you feel? Because every interaction with the person is truly an experience, and you rarely walk away neutral. You usually have either a positive or a, you know, not super satisfied opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. I mean, there you have it, guys. There's no more questions I can top those answers, I think. Before we let you guys go, Roland, can you just share the virtual meetup slide?
Yeah.
Elena and Brandon leave us off with their last words.
Yep. Let's do that here. Share screen. All right.
Cool. So as you guys know, well, and if you haven't heard, we're offering free online meetups through Zoom. So those can be thought of as extensions of these coronavirus evening updates. It's a really awesome opportunity for you to join other home service professionals face-to-face. You can talk shop, discuss marketing ideas, and network so that we can all come out of this a little bit stronger. So we actually have seven meetups coming up next week, and it's including a Lady Pro meetup on Thursday. And Elena, if you are free, please join us. Mel and I will be there. It'll be, I'm not sure the time of it. I think there's a little bit of an overlap with this webinar, but we'll be there right after. So that is going to be on Thursday. We're really excited about that. And then Roland, if you want to go to the next slide on the podcast. So we also have a podcast. JC, who is our videographer, he is the host of it, and he's been interviewing pros from all over the country. And the most recent one was with Texas Medley. So we had him on, I think, earlier this week. I don't know, the days are all the same now, but he shares his insights on employee management during this time and how he's dealing with his HR issues. So other than that, our meetup team is going to be posting the link here in the chat and in Facebook for you guys to go and register for. Roland, you can stop sharing your screen. And as always, I want to thank Brandon. Like, you're so awesome. Thank you for always jumping on and bringing the most amazing guests. Thank you, Elena, for spending Friday evening with the three of us. So I kind of want to leave it off on two things. First, where can everyone find you guys and follow you online? And what is your last piece of advice or your one takeaway from this webinar that you want to leave our audience with?
So one thing that I will just kind of mention, it was real quick for plug for Elena. I reached out to her earlier this week and I was like, maid service industry is hurting really hard and they're hurting badly. If only there was some kind of like resource or course that we could put together for them that just like, helps them with action plans and something that we could do. And 2 days later, Elena sent me like 14 modules of the course completely finished and done. So we actually it's 100% completely free, 0 strings attached. There's no upsells or offers on the back end of it. It's just a 100% value add course. She calls it the Maid Service 911 course. And it goes into a lot more deeper dive on what she's doing in her business, mindset. It goes through safety supplies and best practices to make sure your cleaners are being protected, marketing, how to prepare for, ramping back up again and rehiring. And so if anyone's interested in getting that, we can add you to the email list. It should be published tomorrow. But if you just text the word all squished together, MAID 911 to 44222, the phone number, MAID 911 to 44222. 442. Yeah, the word MAID 911 all squished together. There you go. Perfect. So if you text that, enter in your email address, and then when the course goes live, which should be this weekend, we'll go ahead and send that blast out. But it's an amazing resource that she put together for the maid service, and she's going to be sharing that with some of the associations that she belongs to as well. It's just a helping tool to help out the maid service industry. Because if you're in the maid service space, you are on the precipice of, in my opinion, a really massive opportunity. So I think preparation is really key to bounce back and be stronger than ever.
Yeah, these types of resources are so awesome. You've shared with your previous guests some other resources. So we love giving value back whenever we can to the community. So thank you so much, Elena, for graciously putting that together here and letting people just go through it, because there's nothing better than education, but then you got to have action. So yes. Just reading it and just downloading it and keeping it on your computer and being like, oh, I'll read this later, I'll do something later. Don't do that. Read it now and then do something about it. So take some action on that for sure.
Well, one of the things that we also talked about with Brandon, and he made fun of me by making a photoshopping my face on the buffalo. When we share a favorite saying, which is like, when the thunder strikes, cows run away from it and buffaloes run towards it. That's my favorite saying, and that's my life's motto, basically. And I always supplement it by saying, every morning I get up and I ask myself, yes, exactly.
Because this is her favorite saying. I had to Photoshop her, and this is the definition of Elena right here.
Exactly, like that. I am the buffalo. Actually, I say always, I wake up every morning and I ask myself if I'm a buffalo or I'm a cow. And a lot of times I feel like a cow, but I choose to act like a buffalo because I want to have buffalo outcome, right? So I want you guys to kind of walk away for that. Just be a buffalo.
Love it.
Be a buffalo. Awesome. I love
that.
So,
Alexa, I got one more ask. I was just going to share, because we've got 62 people on here right now. So I'm going to share something about our business here real quick, and something that we've been participating in. And I told, so we've got a guy that he's on the demand gen marketing team. His name's Kevin O'Leary. And he let us know we're doing this contest in here. It's called Reviews Madness Tournament 2020. And so what this is, so if you guys don't know, if you search for like Housecall Pro reviews, what you'll find is like, this is kind of like the home advisor of the software space, but you got to play the game. So they obviously have first rank on our own keywords, like Housecall Pro reviews. They're number one here. So you got to play the game. And so we've obviously done really well here, 4.7, 2,200 reviews.
Wow.
So we've done well, and this is lead gen for us. Obviously, when people are looking for software, they go here. So anyways, they created this little contest here, and really it is just to get more reviews on their own platform to continue outranking us. But that's okay, because we got to play the game. And so
I'll play the game, buddy.
and we got to play the game. And we know competitiveness is my number one strength. So that, like, I hate to lose. So anything I hate to lose at, I'm like, let's pull this out. So we've made it all the way from, you know, the round of 64 all the way through the Elite Eight. Now we're in the championship. So
Wow.
so we're up against this other company called ClickUp, who probably is another good company. They've got probably a decent enough product. But it's the total amount of reviews that you can get in between April 10th and April 14th. So I told Kevin, I was like, hey, I got, you know, rabbit up my sleeve, or was it rabbit in my hat? I'm going to pull something out here because the way that we win is amount of reviews left for our software. So please don't write a review if you're not using our software. But if you are and you got value out of this, my ask of you guys is we'll post this link here, this link right here. We'll post it in the chat. But if you would write us a review, I definitely want to win. That's my ask of you guys. Doesn't cost you anything. Costs you, you know, you got to write like a sentence or two to make it real. But this is a contest. I'd love to tell Kevin that we won over the weekend. Well, actually, it ends the 14th, so it'd be on Monday. So I've got a couple more other tricks and growth hacks up my sleeve that I'm going to do to go win and make sure we bring home the cup. And just so you guys know, what we win from this is they gamed it to where if you win, you get $500 worth of PPC spend with them. So it's not a huge nominal amount. It's just more, we want to win.
It's status, man.
Yeah, it's status. We want to win. We want to win. So for those of you entrepreneurs out there, you know how much you want to win. And we definitely want to win. I'll post that link right here.
Love that.
Let's go all.
There's some good companies on there. I'm impressed. You guys made it to the championships. That's impressive.
It's because we're like we were talking about our values. One of Roland's is competitiveness.
Oh man, yeah.
that's where that strength. So yeah, we
Strength Finder.
And before I let you guys go, thank you one more time for joining us. We know it's like not the most glamorous thing to be doing on a Friday night, but I mean, what else are we doing, right?
Exactly.
So thank you everyone for attending this. We hope that it was really valuable. We'll be posting this on YouTube later tonight. If not tonight, then definitely tomorrow. And if you found value out of this, once it's posted, please share it in your other groups and that you're in, and invite others to the Coronavirus Discussion Facebook page. That's really how you can help us by getting more pros' eyes on what we're putting out there into the world right now. So with that being said, we'll see you guys on Monday, same time, 5 p.m. Pacific. And we have another good topic for you. We actually have the whole lineup for the week, so we'll be posting that. We're going to be talking with pros who have actually applied and received the EIDL and the PPP money. Those are by far the most questions we're still getting in the Facebook group. So if you are one of those pros who have received that money, please reach out to Roland or myself on Facebook. I'm going to be posting something tonight asking where everyone is in the application process, but hopefully we can get your guys' answers on what was required, what the process was like, timeline, all that good stuff. So that's going to be our Monday topic, and we're going to have Brooks on, who is another fan favorite. And yeah, thank you guys. Have a great weekend with
Thanks, Brandon. Thanks, Linda. Thanks, pros.
Thanks so much.
My pleasure. Take care, everybody.
Thanks, Mel. See you guys.